What's going on, guys? ShadowNinja here, and today we got a Titan build for you guys. It's a brand new episode, and the sandbox has arguably changed in a great way for PvE. There were a lot of changes across the board, making it very interesting for new metas to come out with builds, and I'm pretty excited. So today's video is kind of a update to a previous Prismatic Titan build from last episode, but there's going to be some changes to the fragments, super of choice, and of course the loadouts. We will talk about the other supers you can choose and why. I was thinking about making individual videos with each of them in mind, but honestly that's just a waste of your guys' time. So stick around to the end of the build where I'll talk about using solar or stasis or maybe even arc in that little verbiage set. But before we go anywhere, first I just want to mention, per usual, there will be a dim link in the description and in the pinned comment down below. This is so you guys can pull it easily for yourself and use it and check it out and confirm that I am not lying to you guys. Secondly, if you guys want more content from me, please consider hitting that subscribe button and bell to be notified for when I do drop more content. With that being said, let's jump right into this video. Now, right off the bat, I want to say that the recent Titan buffs Bungie has gave us have been great. I finally feel like there is a true desire to mix and match with Prismatic, and hopefully here you're going to be seeing just that. So in this build, we are utilizing a couple of things. We're using Radiant via a fragment, Void Overshield via another fragment, allowing Orbs of Power to generate our subclass verbiage. And in this case, getting a Void Overshield means we're using Twilight Arsenal as our super of choice. The general buff they did here was an additional 76% more health, depending on how much Void Overshield you have. This, in my opinion, is a great buff, and pretty much, in my opinion, when it comes to head-to-head with Restoration ×1, I think I rather would have a Void Overshield, but the case can be made that getting Restoration is much easier than getting Void Overshield, depending on a build and depending what you're doing. Another change, Consecration now shatters Stasis crystals, so we're going to be using our Glacial Quake Grenade, summoning those crystals, shattering them. It is a awesome combination, long overdue. Don't know why it took so long for that to be anything. I think it should have been ready for the final shape, but whatever. And then Diamond Lance is going to be an aspect we're using instead of Drenger's Lash, is from my previous Prismatic build video. It's actually good now, dare I say, after some changes like the throw and slam now shatters Stasis crystals, as well as the slam granting you frost armor ×2 per slam. Awesome, insane. This of course caps out at 5 stacks. So as you see there, it is a much better mix than before, because again, I felt like the limitations were kind of there, but altogether I do think that this is a massive change for the better, and it allows us to have a very solid build, which we will be jumping into right about now. So hope you guys enjoy the drip. Honestly, really like this one. Curious to hear your guys' thoughts on it. But with that being said, let's jump in and talk about the overall Prismatic setup. So like we said before, Twilight Arsenal is going to be our super of choice. The reason for that is we get Void Overshields with a fragment we're getting. It's the verbiage we want to benefit from. We'll talk about the other supers at the end of this, but in general, when it comes to our abilities, we have a Barricade. I like the Barricade. I used to use Thruster, but the Barricade with the taunt feature, honestly, pretty nice. Works out with Consecration. You can Consecration behind the Barricade. Pretty cool. My jump is personally just a high jump. Frenzied Blade for our max Consecration charges. This is really good for also just using in general. It's a dark energy, so if you guys are missing out some dark energy, you use this instead of Consecration. Good way of getting that dark energy up to be transcended as fast as possible. We're also using the Glacier Grenade. Would use a Shackle, but the Glacier Grenade is really damn good right now with some of the Stasis benefits, and with the fact that we can now shatter this with Consecration. It works incredibly well together. For our aspects, Consecration, like I mentioned, this is going to be kind of the one that never really gets off. When you go Transcendent and you're using Consecration, it is just absolutely bananas. One of the best aspects with more charges, especially for Prismatic. No reason to ever take this off. But we're using Diamond Lance. Before we have used Drenger's Lash. Maybe you could use Knockout in this case, but I really like Diamond Lance for the frost armor aspect. Also, you get this pretty damn easily. So shatter or defeat targets with abilities or stasis weapons to create a stasis lance. You throw this to freeze, and then you slam to freeze targets in an area. Gives you frost armor. Really damn good. Really easy to proc, especially with our primary weapon of choice. Really good stuff. Fragments. We're using Facet of Hope. While you have an element of buff, your class ability regenerates more quickly. Very nice there. We have Facet of Purpose. Picking up Orb of Power grants either Amplified Restoration, Frost Armor, Woven Mail, or Overshield based on the damage type of your super equipped. Again, this is the main fragment I'm talking about. We're going to be benefiting from the Void Overshield here, but you'll see with the other supers, there's different benefits that are pretty damn good as well. We have Facet of Balance. Rapidly defeating targets with light damage grants melee energy, Consecration, light damage, melee energy, and then we're using our Stasis stuff. We're generating grenade energy more, which is very, very good. And then we have Facet of Dawn. This is basically powered melee hits. Go Radiant. Radiant is a great buff. Not as cracked as it was last episode because of Radiant Ores, but really good still. Really must-have fragment that really gets the most out of your just damage output. We also have Facet of Ruin. Since we're using Stasis, increase the size and damage of your burst when you shatter a stasis crystal or frozen target, and increases the area effect of your solar ignition. So as you guys can tell, this is the best of both worlds. Ignitions from Consecration, shattering and freezing from our weapon and from our glacial grenade. Really damn good stuff. And then lastly, we have Facet of Devotion. Defeating targets afflicted with stasis or strand debuffs grants bonus light transcendent energy. So again, just helping us get transcendent as fast as possible. But in general, that is going to be the subclass. Let's jump in and talk about the loadout. The main weapon we're using here as our primary is the brand new exotic grenade launcher. I do not know how to pronounce that right now. I probably should have prepped for that, but alethonym? Didn't say that right, whatever. This is really damn good. It's a primary ammo grenade launcher. A Harvester Spike. This weapon fires a Harvester Spike projectile. Dealing final blows with this weapon creates a single vestige at the target's location. Impaling more powerful targets with this creates a steady stream of vestiges from the target. And then when you use these vestiges, you can pretty much create special ammo and heavy ammo. There's also stasis, so it pretty much breaks those stasis things instantly. But again, this is a grenade launcher. It probably would do that. We're using the title mainly for destabilizing rounds. In general, whatever Void SMG or Void auto rifle or even Void hand cannon, this is an incredible burst. Repulsor destabilizing I have. Recommend you could use that as well. But in general, using the title, really any Void energy weapon or any energy weapon that is going to match your super of choice. This could be a primary weapon. This could be a special weapon, whatever it may be. And then since grenade launchers are cracked, Edge Transit, Bait and Switch, Envious, really good here. If you guys have a role like this, I urge you guys to use it. It is one of the best grenade launchers in the game. Now, for our armor mods, we're using a Harmonic Siphon, hands-on to really get our Twilight arsenal back really, really quick. When you go Prismatic, it stacks the chain reaction from our Stoicism, really damn good. And then for just the fact that we're using our grenade launcher, Stasis grenade launcher, all the time, Stasis Siphon to get more orbs of power, to get that Void Overshield, things like that. For our arms, we have Font of Vigor to stack out with the strength. So right now my stat is at 60. It's going to be a plus 30. So we'll be at 90 when I have an armor charge. And then we have Impact Induction, causing damage with a powered melee. Attack reduces your grenade cooldown. Really good stuff there. And then Heavy Handed. Your powered melee final blows creates an orb of power. Very good for the amount of consecration spam we have going on here. For our chest piece, we have Concussive Dampener, reduces incoming area effect damage from combatants. We have Charge Up for an extra armor charge, and we have Sniper Damage Resistance because those long range targets can be a annoying thing in Onslaught, especially those little flying grim things. For our legs, we have 1 invigoration for our melee regeneration and 2 innervations for those grenade recharge rates being better. And then for my class ability, we have Stoicism. I talked about this before. We have Bomber, we have Font of Restoration. You see my recovery is at a 0, so this will help it at least get to 60 with armor charges. And then we have Reaper. Using our class ability, your next final blows spawns an orb of power. This double stacks if you guys are getting that Stasis Siphon and Reaper Siphon for whatever, or that, orb of power from this. It will drop 2. Really damn good. But yeah, the main things we have here with Stoicism, not really going to talk about this. We have Spirit of Contact. This is the main thing you want. And then Spirit Assassin is a fun little, I guess you could say, go around. With the updates with this, you can actually attune your Stoicism or exotic class of choice. So if you guys head over to Ghost, you guys can select one perk that you want to drop and attune. Helps you guys with the farm, especially with Spirit of Contact. This is a really, really good. But in general, that's pretty much the setup. We'll talk about the supers of choice and what you want to do in the next part. So let's talk about different supers and types and why would you want to use them. Now, we already talked about the Twilight Arsenal. The main bonus here with the fragment of picking up Orb of Power is we get Void Overshields, but this isn't the only playstyle. It's my personal favorite. I do think it's the best. Twilight Arsenal is a very great super that just Void Overshield wasn't enough for me to use it back in Echoes. Now it's just perfect. I love it. But last season we were using Hammer of Soul, and I still think that this is a great secondary option, maybe even tied for first. Restoration, just in general, as a subclass verb is awesome, and getting that on an orb is incredible and hard to beat. Now, the actual super itself does leave things to be desired. It's not the best, but it gets the job done. In certain cases it doesn't. So just keep that in mind. Restoration will be a stack of 1, not 2, but at the same time, again, it is a really, really good subclass verb. Now, in number 3, I would throw in Stasis Glacial Quake. This was actually the first build I was focusing on, was Glacial Quake with Stasis, and then I messed around, wanted to give out different options, and Void turned out to be the best. No shocker there. But Glacial Quake, with the, I guess you could say, changes to the artifact enhancing Stasis, this is a great damage type. Frost Armor is really, really good. I just feel like when it comes to the Prismatic kit as itself, I don't know how much it offers to really get the most out of Frost Armor, whereas I would just recommend using Glacial Quake with actual Stasis. We got a build video in the works for that. We'll take some time, but again, it's possible. You can use it. Nothing to despair you from not using it, but I do feel like this damage type could be just better in its own subclass, like with Stasis. So again, you could use Glacial Quake. Frost Armor is really, really good. There's a lot of synergy here, but it might be missing some of that juice you might be getting from Restoration or Void Overshield. And then I guess you could say a fun fourth option you could just smack onto this setup right now is Thunder Crash. Amplified isn't the best. It does have some benefits. Arc did see some tweaks when it comes to knockout and when it comes to Thunder Crash as a damage type in general. They worked on improving the damage without Curious of the Falling Star, so that's really, really good. Again, Arc really has nothing going for me right now as a super type for the Titan class, so there is some stuff to be desired, but in general, yeah, these are the different subclasses you could use. Why would you use it, and kind of how I would rank it. Void Overshield, Restoration, top tier. Frost Armor, mid tier. Thunder Crash with Amplified, also mid-tier, but again, personal preference, whatever you're desiring. A friendly reminder, you can just plug in that damage type, use the fragments and aspects as they are, and again, the only difference is going to be the subclass verb you're really benefiting from, so just keep that in mind. But yeah, in general, that is the build video for you guys. Later today, or maybe before, I'm not exactly sure, I have a hand cannon video out there in regards to a Trials hand cannon. So if it comes out before, probably before this video drops, I'll annotation that here on screen. Check it out. Interesting stuff. That it's a free give right now when it comes to Trials. So honestly, I recommend getting it. We'll talk about that weapon in that video. But yeah, besides that, that's pretty much all I gotta say on this one. Curious to hear your guys' thoughts on this build video. How do you feel about what was put together, what was said, and things like that? Any changes maybe you would make? Curious to hear your guys' thoughts. But yeah, leave a comment down below if you guys enjoy the content, found it informative. Drop this video a like, helps out the video a ton. And of course, for more content, like I said before, please consider hitting that subscribe button and bell to be notified for when I do drop more content. But until then, hope you guys have a good one. ShadowNinja here, and I'm out.